All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. SEC tournament semifinal action set for Saturday, Max. What do you know? The top four teams in the best conference in the country made it to the semis, setting up the probably most anticipated SEC tournament semifinal round I can remember, just based on, just the overall success of these teams this season. I put out the tweet last night. Like, if you look at what these teams have achieved, right? I mean, you're talking about Auburn 28-4, Tennessee 26-6. That's your first matchup of the day. And then it's Florida 28-4, Alabama 25-7. That's your second matchup of the day. For the top six teams in KenPom, every team in the number one seed conversation. We know Auburn's there. Depends on who maybe gets the other one. We'll see if that has an impact. Right now, Florida's in the driver's seat. Like, I can never remember a setup like that for not just the SEC, for any conference, right? Maybe the Big Ten's come close sometimes, but I just can't think there's been another situation like this setup. This is incredible.
Yeah, not only just everything you just said painting the picture, but also these teams have only played once, and both of them were barn burners. We're right down there to the end. You had Tennessee and Auburn play that game at Auburn, 53-51, nail biter. Woo! And then Florida and Alabama, you had the, what was it, 94-99 game just not too long ago here, March 5th. So you just paint the picture, Blake. This might be the best two-game slate of any just only two games played from one conference all year. This has got to be the number one two-game slate of the entire year. It doesn't get any better than this. It's plain and simple. It doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it's again, I just don't think we've seen a setup like this before. And so yeah, I mean, and I think that's where, if we go back to how things unfolded yesterday, we kind of said we thought this could be like Separation Friday, which sometimes we just see in these tournaments where, the top teams just sort of flex their strength here. And, we said it after the first game. I'm like, it seems like that first game is always the one that gets a little interesting because, it's that early game of the day and all that. Of course, Auburn gets a 62-57 win over Ole Miss. Ole Miss, had their opportunities. Chris Beard said in the press conference afterwards that he didn't think they got beat. He just said he thought they ran out of time. And that was kind of his, approach to how he saw it. Because, again, it was kind of the type of game, if Ole Miss was going to win, that's what it needed to be. But then, like, from there, we saw kind of what happened, right? With Tennessee sort of eventually, pulling away from Texas there. We wondered, all right, is Texas going to be able to lock in 40 minutes with Tennessee? Like, that's going to be a grind, knowing that the Vols have just been sitting there waiting. And then we saw what happened in the next two games. I mean, Florida, just an absolute machine, 95-81. I know some people were, replying to tweets and stuff. And I was like, look, I don't think this had anything to do with Missouri, really. I think this was all about Florida. Like, I just think Florida was that good. They were just simply the better team, period. And then that was certainly the case in the last game with Kentucky, 99-70 win for Alabama. As the Tide just, we said it going in. I mean, it was going to be a challenge. I think, without Lamont Butler and, as you noted, I mean, even without Jackson Robinson, who they've not had in a while, but you think about in a game like this against Alabama, it is just, it's tough when they do what they did last night. I mean, it's really as simple as that. I mean, they're making threes, they're getting to the line, just getting good shots. And when Alabama gets good shots, they're going to make you pay for it, and that's kind of what happened. So, yeah, I mean, I thought, again, Friday's games, we wondered if it kind of be that separation. That's what we saw, and that's why it also, I think, sets up this to be such a dynamic semifinal, because who's not playing well right now of this group?
I think you can make the argument that, well, according to the Twitter sphere yesterday, Florida has already won the national championship with how they're playing. Of course, so we don't even need to go any further.
I mean, it may be hard to pick against them right now. If we did a gut bracket this morning, which we're not going to, but if we did, it may be hard. So,
But then I saw multiple. I wish I could just find one on the fly and pull it up. But I saw multiple like quote tweets yesterday of someone saying Florida's like going to the national championship. This is a national championship team. And then right when Alabama was playing, okay, I'm going to retrace my steps here.
Actually.
Alabama has made me rethink my conclusion here on who my national title team is. But I think it's funny how just like based on yesterday, two unreal performances by Florida and Alabama that just kind of got crowned, because you know how everybody just starts to pick up conference tournaments when they haven't watched it all year and they know they're gonna have to fill out a bracket, so they're like, all right, let me see who's good. Well, yesterday Alabama and Florida were your national title teams, so we'll see who something's got to give today.
Yeah, something does. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get to the fun and excitement of this semifinal round, and let's jump in here. Find the bracket as always. Max, anything notable in the chat? I'll pull up the updated bracket here.
Yeah, we had a question about the number 1 seed. The number let's see. Yeah. Suzanne asks if Tennessee loses to Auburn, is the winner of Florida and Alabama the number 1 seed? I think right now, if it ended today, I think it'd be Florida. So given that scenario, it would depend on then, right? It would be Florida. If Florida won, I think it's Florida right now, sitting right now.
Yeah, so Florida already has the lead. So
right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, is like, who's in the lead right now? It's Florida. So what do they have to do, the other teams, to jump them? Like, I think that's it, right? I think it's that scenario of combination of wins, however that works out. Like, that's probably your. But I mean, I will say though, like, I don't think we can get too carried away with that idea though, that maybe it doesn't matter. Because we say this every year. We get all excited on what's going to happen, and then we realize that the weekend action just doesn't mean anything. And so, but I think in this scenario it has to, right? I think it has to, because you just, again, if you're thinking those are the teams that are that close together, I think it's got to matter. So we'll see.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out Daniel here. Yeah, this weather is getting interesting. So nothing to do with basketball, but hit directly by a huge tornado about 90 minutes from Columbia in Missouri. So and I'm gonna drop a link too. And again, I know this is like, people may say, well, come on, but like the way this thing's setting up today, I'm gonna drop a link if you're in Nashville for the tournament. You're watching this. Here are the best guys in the business when it comes to kind of tracking this stuff. So. I would definitely say if you're in town, you're coming to the arena, fan, media, whoever, give these guys a follow on Twitter, because they're going to have your most up-to-date information about everything that's going to potentially unfold today. So, everybody stay safe. I know the sort of southeast region today is kind of on very, very high alert, without question. So, all right, let's look at the bracket here as we pull it up. And we'll make our picks for these games. Probably won't analyze this too much, because, I mean, let's call it what it is. Like, these are the 4 best teams, and you guys have heard us talk about these teams a lot this season. But here we are. We start at noon Central Time. Auburn and Tennessee, the 1 and the 4. Max, we remember what happened the last time these two teams played, 53-51 on the Plains. What an interesting game that was, huh? That was kind of the one that, you look back and you were thinking, man, Tennessee is probably going to do this. Like, they had those chances. It was the exact kind of game that, was playing out seemingly in their favor based on just the style and all that. They had the 4-point lead with about 2 minutes to go. But in the end, it was Auburn finding a way to win that one. That was the game too, right? Is Broom going to play? Is Broom going to play? And then he comes out, plays, best player on the floor, 16 points. 14 rebounds, had 4 blocks in that game. And, I mean, in all honesty, right, like, the difference yesterday, I thought, for the Ole Miss game, Max, was what? Auburn just had Janai Broome.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference in the game against Tennessee the first time may have just been Auburn had Janai Broome. And that's not taking anything away from everybody else, but it just shows you the impact he has. And I think, once again, like, Broome matching up with Milicic, Akpara, Cade Phillips, like, plus the guys from Auburn that we know can contribute, Chaney Johnson, Dylan Cardwell, and so forth. Like, I think that's such an interesting matchup here because we already know what we're going to talk about with the guard group and maybe, the defensive wizards that are on the perimeter for each of these teams.
Yeah, before I dive into the matchup, because I do know we probably have some sports bettors tuning in, as we usually do. Yesterday, the 5 most public sides, the 5 most total bet sides on the spread was Michigan State, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Auburn, and St. John's. The public 5 most bet sides went 4-5 yesterday. In March, that doesn't happen. So all I'm trying to say is if you have a side today that you love too much, probably good reason why you love it too much. Don't fall into the trap today out there, ladies and gents. Keep your head on a swivel. Diving into the matchup here. Blake, I thought it was impressive yesterday how Tennessee was able to overcome Felix Akpara picking up, what was it? It was 2 fouls. Remember, I turned to you and I was like, oh my gosh, Akpara just got his third within like 20 seconds. He picked up his second, picked up his third within like the same 2 possessions. He was on the bench for a while after that. Didn't matter to Tennessee. They were able to overcome that. They're going to need Akpara today. They're going to need Big Felix today. Big Igor today. And so just keep an eye on that kind of foul situation with Big Felix, because if he lands in foul trouble again, just like he did yesterday, then it could be a thing like you said, Blake. Well, one team has Janai Broome, the other doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, and that's always this year been something that has given Auburn an advantage without question, having that guy on the floor. But yeah, I mean, and two, if you go back to the previous matchup between these teams, like we said, that was a game where we kept looking at it and we're like, all right, look at the combined 3-point total, like, the lockdown defense on the perimeter for both of these teams, whether it's Denver Jones, Jemai Mashak, Sakai Ziegler, like we've talked about all those guys this year defensively. So you would feel like, especially in a game like this too, where it's game 2 for each team, the 3-point shot maybe sometimes, you kind of see how that opens up a little bit. Maybe more wanting to get things inside, get to the free throw line, that kind of stuff in these sort of settings. And you could also get some of those sort of day 2 fouls, I guess you could say, Max, where, guys aren't, maybe a little bit step slower. Not saying they're tired, just a little step slower to that one spot that maybe yesterday, they get there a little bit quicker, and that's your extra foul and all that kind of stuff. So I do think it's going to be something, to see, because, we've seen that too. Anytime you get some of these setups where you have 2 teams like this that just defend very well on perimeter, we saw it last time. That's how it can unfold. But also, and sorry, my internet was cutting out a little bit. You may have already said this, but the 16 offensive rebounds for Auburn last time in the first matchup, that was a big story too, I feel like. And Broome had 8 of those, so he had half of those himself. But Chaney Johnson, Dylan Cardwell, they did some work on the glass. That's always important, I feel like, against Tennessee, because you want to try to get as easy a baskets as you can against them. Like, you just don't want to be sitting there going down every time. As they always say, like, you don't want to face Tennessee in a set defense. Like, that's just not something you want to do every single opportunity. So I think getting some of those second chance opportunities, knowing that perhaps you're not going to shoot a very high percentage, you're going to miss some of those shots. But last time around, Broome did a great job of getting those second chances. So I feel like that's another one too. Today, we talk about the fundamentals, Max. Boxing out today is going to be, I think, a big part of this game for both teams.
Yeah, a guy on each team that I'm looking for. Obviously, for Tennessee, it's been the Chaz Lanier show as much as it's been the Ziegler show. As the Ziegler's kind of that solid rock, but as Lanier goes, so does Tennessee. And as he kind of hit the SEC kind of rough patch there in January, Lanier's averaging 19.8 points per game in his 4 games in March. He's looked great, very confident. So maybe there's a little bit of difference in Chaz Lanier's confidence performance from last time out. Flip that script though. Chaney Johnson for Auburn, big matchup with Igor, big matchup with Dubar off the bench. So when Chaney Johnson is in there, how is he going to do? Last time he had 10 points, not efficient 10 points too. I believe he only took 5 shots, made 5, or only 6 shots, made 5 of them. Past few games, Chaney really hasn't done too much offensive production wise. He's in there every game. Maybe he's getting in there rebounding. Maybe he has a big block or it's a big alley-oop or something that gets the crowd going nuts. But in the month of March here, 4 games for Chaney Johnson, 3 points, 4 points, 3 points, 3 points. They really could use a little bit of that double-digit boost that he was giving them January, February. So those 2 guys, I'm looking for to have a game. If Chaney can boost the scoring and they're getting that double-digit, 10 to 15 Chaney game, man, that could be the difference. But then also, what does Chaz Lanier's output look like? Because that's going to have a big impact on this Tennessee O.
All right, picks.
The spread here, Blake. Oh boy, let me pull it up. We're on 20 tab mode this morning, ladies and gents. 20 tab mode. We have got Auburn minus 4.5 point favorite, 4-point favorite, minus 210 on the money line. Yesterday we saw all chalk, all 4 favorites won, and I told myself going into these picks, I got to pick one of these underdogs, and I think I'm going to go with the Vols as a bold pick, straight up 4-point underdog. I didn't want to pick both favorites today after having all 4 win yesterday. I think I'm feeling decent about Tennessee.
I think we were sitting there yesterday in the arena, and I told you, as I was watching Tennessee play, I said, I think they're my new pick to win this tournament. And I don't even remember what like the sequence was that got me to that point, but like I looked over and said, all right, Max, that's it. I said, I think I'm picking Tennessee to win this tournament now. Because there was just, again, there was some sort of combination of things that happened during that game where I'm just like, all right, these guys are locked in. They're ready. Obviously, there'll be a lot of Tennessee fans in the crowd, just as there will be a lot of Auburn fans in the crowd. But I don't know about that. I don't know if I may have felt better if it was another team, but I do think this is one again. We saw what happened last time around. If it's that kind of game again, to me, yes, I feel like it does favor Tennessee, but I think, yeah, to me, I'm going to stick with the team that I originally picked to win this tournament. I'm going to stick with Auburn, but man, there was something about Tennessee yesterday, I guess, that caused me to say that to you, and I wish I could remember what it was, but when you sit there and watch that many games in a day, sometimes you just forget. But yeah, I do think it's one where obviously Tennessee can do some things to disrupt what Auburn wants to do. We've seen that already, and but I don't know. Like you do wonder too, does Auburn just get that one game out of the way yesterday where you're not playing as well as you think you should have played, and then maybe that next game you sort of turn it on. And remember too, I think there is some added motivation. Auburn wanting to defend their conference tournament title here. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Auburn. My confidence level in both of these games today, when you have these top 4 teams, we said, that are all in the number 1 seed discussion, I'm not confident about either of these. So anything can happen when you have teams this good. So
if you are confident about a pick today, please
let us know.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think this is these are fantastic matchups. All right, before we get to the next game, bracket bids. Tomorrow is your time, folks, to be able to get that bracket bid set up, everything ready to go for that free pick'em contest, or you can start the auction draft league we keep talking about with your friends, family, or coworkers. Get that started now. That way you're set up, ready to go when the bracket comes out tomorrow. We'll be doing our auction draft league, all that stuff. Everyone starts with the same bidding dollar. It's up to you to outwit and outbid your league mates to secure the teams you think will go the distance. Choose from multiple scoring models, including the upset bonuses, reward the bold picks. Track your teams with live in-game scoring. Watch the standings shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb in the standings. For league play, use that promo code SE16 for 40% off SE16, 40% off. Download the Bracket Bids app today or visit them at bracketbids.com. I'm going to put the link right now in the chat. And Ryan's going to join us tomorrow from Bracket Bids during our selection show live stream, which, as we said, will probably be 3+ hours, maybe, knowing us. So keep that in mind. Remember, if you sign up for Bracket Bids, you help us out. If you want to support the channel, sign up, get going. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, let's get to Florida, Alabama. Max, what's the over-under on this game for starters?
175.5.
A little low for my liking.
Yeah.
A little low. What was it last night? What was the over-under for that one?
It closed 179.5, and then it went under. It went under.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It did, didn't it? Yeah, because we thought Kentucky would maybe score a little bit more. But
yep,
almost got there. But, all right, Florida, Alabama. We just saw this not long ago. We remember it was Florida going in, getting a nice win in Tuscaloosa. That was 99-94. Remember the stat I keep bringing up? Florida has scored whatever that stat is that I put out. It was 90+ points against Alabama in like their last 4 meetings or something like that. So the Gators have fared well matchup-wise dating back to last year against this Alabama team. Of course, we did just see what Alabama did to Kentucky. Again, we all know Kentucky was missing Lamont Butler. We know they weren't at full strength, but I don't think that should take away what Alabama did in that performance. The Tide certainly looking very good right now. Mark Sears coming off, that game against Florida last time where he scores 30. Philon had a good game against Florida last time. Remember, Philon had a great game last night too. But if I go back, Max, to the last matchup, Alex Condon did some good work in that game, 27-10. He was tremendous. Tommy H., of course, had a good game off the bench. Walter Clayton did his thing. 22 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. And yeah, if you just looked at the percentages, the way that it played out, it was one where Florida shot 60% from 2. They only shot 30% from 3, got to the free throw line 29 times, 16 offensive rebounds. So again, I think offensive rebounds today going to play a huge role in both these games. Alabama didn't shoot it as well, 9 of 25 from 3. Sears was 2 of 10 actually in that game from 3. So even though he scored 30 points, was not able to find his rhythm from 3. So all that to say, throw everything else out the window. Throw out everything probably from the previous game between these two teams. They're both, in my opinion, national title good, and let's just see how it plays out today.
Yeah, we have some interesting comments on Darian Reed's situation here. So Brett is saying he's wondering how many minutes Darian Reed gets today. Got 9 yesterday, sporadic, and when healthy, Reed, has the versatility defensively to give Florida's guards some issues, which I agree with. And then Don was saying he thinks Oates used Reed yesterday, get him going a little bit, but to keep the other guys fresh, keep their minutes down. And he just, it might be a tall task to ask Reed to jump back into the fire here and play big time minutes against the Gators. I hear you on both of those. And I think that'll be a situation to monitor there. Is Darian, how big of a factor is Darian Reed? Because when you look back at that first matchup, Blake, that's the only difference here. One matchup didn't have Darian Reed, the other might. Other than that, looks like we're just going to be going back in the ring, heavyweight title fight here. I purposely don't want to try to get into the nitty gritty and break down this game.
No.
Just because of how elite both teams have been everywhere. And you look at the last game too, turnovers for both of these offenses. If there's one thing you can, get annoyed with and oh geez, if they just cleaned this up, they could be scoring 100 turnovers. Last time both teams did a pretty good job, positive assist to turnover ratios. And they don't really, lean on that defensively, forcing the other team. So if we get a lopsided affair here, I'd be very surprised. I think both teams are gunning for a national title here, and this is going to be a good barometer for where they're at.
Yeah, we could sit here and break down every single angle of this game, and I don't think we're going to come out with any more confidence on who we're going to pick to win.
Nope.
So let's just pick who we're going to pick to win. Let's call it what it is. It's the semifinals. Again, look at these teams. Let's come on.
There's a good chance, depending on who looks good in this game, might be Maxie Barr's national title team. It just might be. We're on national title watch here, and I went upset. I went 4-point dog in the first round. It is March, and you were just talking about Selection Sunday. I'm feeling a little crazy. Today, but not too crazy. Give me the Gators, the Fighting Tommy H. Give me the Gators here, but man, I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, listen, I would not. The Iron Bowl of basketball for the SEC tournament title would certainly be something. But again, going into the tournament, we made our picks for members. I said I'm giving you the rematch, and the rematch to me was Auburn and Florida from last year, and I'm just gonna stick with it until that. I'm gonna try to stick with the bracket. And again, I don't have any confidence in this. I just think that Alabama they're just a machine sometimes, and I think this will be a high scoring game. And like you said, the turnovers for Florida, some of those issues, Missouri was right there, and I think that's the thing. Without Mark Mitchell, Missouri was right there with a chance. Eventually though, I think they just caught up with them. But I'm gonna stick with Florida though. But like I said, this is one where sometimes we're like, all right, I don't know if I could really see that combination for the championship. I could see any combination here for the championship.
Yep.
Any possible combination of these four, I would see, and there's no way we could be surprised. So, yeah, I'm gonna pick Florida. Big Gator EJ? What's going on here? We both picked the Gators. Big Gators.
Up to.
What's he doing?
No, I think EJ's a little bit worried about maybe something that just got confirmed.
Oh, boy.
He's trying to reverse a little mojo here.
We both picked Florida. What could go wrong in that setup? Okay, let's see. All right, let me get to $2 super chat. Optimistic rattlesnake. All right, let's pull this off the screen here. We're gonna pull this off the screen. Sweet revenge, he says. Go Gators. $2 super chat. We appreciate it from the optimistic rattlesnake. Optimistic here on a Saturday. But yeah, I think that is it's warranted. How well they're playing. So yeah. All right.
Highlight of the tournament so far for me. Gave knuckles to Tommy H yesterday.
He did. I saw it with my own eyes. Tommy H is coming out, and we've got to assume Tommy H knew. He's like, that's Max Barr right there.
He gave me it gave me a little oh, sup, bro, or a sup, so it might have just been, just a little small talk, but he might have knew. He might have
known that it all started a year ago here in Nashville. The Tommy H for president campaign. We started that last year. Actually, Florida Basketball Hour. Neil Blackman probably started before we did, but we jumped on the bandwagon.
Yes.
So yeah. All right.
We had the first
Let's see. A couple other things here, and then we will get to a couple bracket things on the way out. I know some people are asking, and I forgot to star a couple of the bracket questions. For bracket bids, what is the join key? I assume now that for. All right, hold on, Shane. Let me think through this. So the promo code is SE16. SE16. That's 16, by the way. But I think for the league, we'll get that to people who are interested in the auction draft league that we're going to do. So we'll get that to you tomorrow after the bracket stuff comes out. So if you're a member, the It Just Means More tier, some of you guys will have the opportunity to join the auction draft league that we're going to do. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll mark that down. So Max, we might want to keep up with a tally here of who's interested, who's not. So we'll put Shane on the list for that. All right. Let's see what else.
I got oh, you go ahead.
Well, let's just quickly throw this because I know some people are jumping in late, asking if the weather's going to impact the tournament today. Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know if that'll be the case. I I'm not a weatherman. Let's not act like I am, but following the guys, as I mentioned, who do a great job weather-wise here. And I'll put that link again in the chat for anyone who wants to check it out if you're in Nashville and just want to, have eyes on things here. If you're going to the arena or anything like that, this is a pretty unique setup, it seems. So we'll see how it unfolds today. So again, nothing to know as of now. The game started, noon and probably 2:30 Central Time. So it seems like afternoon, evening is about the time they're expecting all this to start to unfold. So we'll see what happens. So, all right, you were saying something, Max.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. Quick note from Don here. I believe Don's a Tide fan. If not, he's just SEC fan who knows his stuff. Alabama's defense on KenPom to 26. If you guys follow, the college basketball content guys, Ryan Hammer or whoever it may be that's given out, a national championship kind of, capables. Who is it? Oh, the main list you see is the top 40 KenPom, top 25, or top 40 offense on KenPom, top 25 defense. That's kind of the main metric people use for, fielding the capables for the national title. Top 40 offense, top 25 defense. Keep an eye on Alabama there. You might see them start to pop up in all those. These are the teams that you can pick to win your bracket graphics and whatnot. The Tide there. They jumped up from like 36 or something like that. That was a massive jump in defensive efficiency one game.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, think about what we were talking about Alabama defensively last year at this time, and how much different it is this year for sure. So, all right. So, again, today's setup with these games is it's tremendous. I do think it's the most anticipated semifinal round ever in the SEC tournament because it's the best we've ever seen in the SEC, and you've got the four teams battling it out here for the conference championship. So, no matter who wins this tournament, it will be well earned based on the path they had to get through to hoist the trophy. So, so that's kind of your setup on that. All right, games today. Obviously, the Mountain West has now has now made things a little interesting for a certain SEC bubble team, maybe multiple SEC bubble teams at this point. The Mountain West has gotten down to Boise State and Colorado State. We know what that means. That means, Max, we got a bid stealer out there. But not just that, there still is that possibility that both could get in, right? If you're rooting today, I think you're definitely rooting for Boise State. You're not rooting for Colorado State because I think Boise State's a little bit further. That keeps Colorado State a little bit, maybe further behind. Lenardi's update. We'll give it. Let me just pull this up real quick because it's probably worth noting.
Yeah, why not?
And again, I know it's Lenardi. I know everyone has their opinions on him. That's fine, but I'm just telling you because this is the one that they always show on the SEC network, all this other ESPN, whatever. So we're just pulling this up to use it as reference. So as you can see here, things have gotten a little more interesting for some of our SEC teams, as Vanderbilt is very close now to the last four in. If you get a couple bid stealers today, we see where Boise State and Colorado State are at. That's why, to me, you're definitely rooting for Boise State if you assume that this is the order that they are in right now, which I tend to think this is not just a Lenardi thing. Boise State does have the edge over Colorado State at the moment. So you're rooting for Boise State because if not, they're moving down. And so Texas maybe gets a little bit further away. This one, you will convince me never that North Carolina has a better NCAA profile than Texas. And North Carolina is 1-12 in quad one games. Texas is, I think, is 7-11, something like that now. It's not just that. To me, there's no scenario where I think North Carolina should be in ahead of Texas. So somebody's saying that's not the updated version. Okay, well then hang on a second, Carter, because this was the updated version as of 12:25 a.m. Eastern time. So let's now, Max, see if there's another version out there that perhaps we need to be looking at. So hold on a second.
Who played between 12:25 a.m.? And right
Okay, so he
now,
did. He did. He just updated it again. All right. Well, there's
what?
another update. So, I don't know. All right, hold on. Let's get to this update.
Interesting development.
Well, yeah, we're all gonna do this in real time because I have no idea what he's got now. So, all right. So now, okay. So now North Carolina's been pushed out. Looks like if you're looking at where, hold on, where is Colorado State? What am I missing here? Did they jump from here all the way past here?
Are they in the bracket?
Are you serious? Like, did they jump that far? How could they have jumped that far? Look, they did. Oh, wait,
What?
no. Oh, no. He's got them as the automatic qualifier. Okay, that's what happened. All right, so he's got them automatically in. He's got them as the winner, so they're not on here anymore. So then he's got this scenario. All right, but what happens if they're not the winner, right? Then we got a little more to figure out. So, again, who are you rooting for today? Irvine's moving closer, but like I said, I would love to see the Big West get 2 in, but if that happens, to me, Max, I think we're still the thought that San Diego is going to get in, and not Irvine in a at-large scenario. So right. So I think that's what we're looking at. So
Another game, Loyola against BCU in the A10 semis. BCU is about a 10-point favorite, but if Loyola Chicago pulls off that upset and then another one, there's a steal. And then the American semis, Tulane is a 9-point underdog against Memphis. Tulane is a possible bid steal.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's another interesting one, right?
The A10 and the American, watch those.
The Mountain West has really been the one that has seemingly given us the most trouble if you're an SEC because of this potential scenario that could play out here. So I think that's the one to watch. But again, because he has Colorado State as the automatic qualifier, I still would be of the assumption that if they lose and Boise State wins, then, right, I mean, they would have to fall behind some of these other teams that are in the first 4 out, I would think, based on what we saw 9 hours ago in the bracket. So, yeah, I would think that's the case, Max.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy day. This is going to be so fast developing.
Well, and that's where for Vanderbilt specifically, if you're looking at, well, not just Vanderbilt, maybe Arkansas and Oklahoma. Although I do think Vanderbilt I think this is the right order. And I know some Vanderbilt fans may not agree with that, but I would tend to believe this is the better order here. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. Because what do we say about Vanderbilt, the non-conference portion? Really just not anything there. I feel like that's probably one of the things that stands out. But again, we're not bracketologists, but I do think that's something that's probably weighed a bit there with that. So there you have it. If you want 14-bit SEC, you kind of know who you need to root for. You need to root for the favorites and try to keep some of these other teams out. But we know North Carolina's not going to play another game. We know Indiana's not going to play another game. So I feel like, Max, when you start looking at the teams like that are all there that don't have additional opportunities, that's where we said it's just the teams that are still playing can create the most havoc. And unfortunately, some of these bubble teams are still right there with an opportunity. So,
yeah, just because we're wrapping up here. Someone asked earlier about the 1 seed conversation. Can Michigan State jump one of the SEC teams? I think Michigan State is kind of stuck on the 2 line because you're gonna have one of those 3 SEC teams make the title, the SEC title game, and then Houston has the quad 1A wins on Michigan State. So Michigan State has the more total quad 1 wins, but Houston's got the more impressive at the top. And with the better predictive metrics, I don't see any way Michigan State. So to answer that question, whoever asked it earlier, I think Michigan State is just stuck on the 2 here, given the situation.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Okay, any more questions here? Let's see what else. What do we need to get to? I know there was a couple of other things. Mother Carol said she's personally pulling for Florida Lived there for over 30 years. So
Hey.
going for the Gators there in this matchup. Let's see what else we have here. Sorry, we're a little behind on the chat today. We're just trying to knock some of this other stuff out. Also, the Discord. The Mother Carol says she found the Southeastern 16 Discord, requested an invite. So we may get to that perhaps later on or tomorrow on the selection show, and we'll see what it is. So we'll figure it out. Skylar's at work, said we'll figure it out to see what to do there. But all right, so just quickly, quad one win updates for some of these teams that are on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has said 7-10, Arkansas 5-10, Oklahoma 7-11, Vanderbilt 5-9. The only team in there that has a quad 3 loss is Oklahoma. Yeah, and pretty similar other than that. And that's where, again, we go into the advanced metrics and everything. And just so we are clear, North Carolina, it's something. They are 1-12 in quad 1. So 8-0 in quad 2, 7-1 in quad 3, 6-0 in quad 4. So, yeah. All right.
There you have it.
There you have it. Yep. All right, guys. We appreciate you as always. Again, we are TBD on when we do our reaction stuff today. We will do something today. So like you'll get, whereas the last couple of days, the last game is ended at midnight or whatever, we'll have our usual sort of prime time reaction, although prime time may be us sitting in the arena after game 2 and just doing it there. So
we'll make it work.
It'll be a little more internet friendly with everybody clearing out. So yeah, so we'll make sure it works. And yeah, we'll have something coming up for you this afternoon, most likely after game 2. And we'll let you know when that's going to be. So turn on your notifications so you know when we go live and all that. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Selection Sunday is tomorrow. Tomorrow, Max. Yeah, going to be fun.
Today is basically, it's a big 48-hour day, okay? Now until Monday. It's just one big, massive national. Well, you know what? No, this is continental. This is global holiday here. Selection Sunday weekend.
Yep, it is. So we will see how it plays out. Appreciate you guys as always. Turn on the notifications. Hit the like button on your way out. That helps us out. And again, check out Southeastern16.com. Joey's been writing a lot of stories there, so check those out. A lot of fun player stories up right now, Southeastern16.com. Check those out. Again, keep an eye on the weather today. You guys stay safe. And yes, we will be back later on with our reaction to the semifinal matchups. And yeah, we'll look at where things stand with the bracket and all that. So, all right, guys, appreciate you watching. Talk to you soon at Southeastern 16.